Hey guys, it's Frost, and today I am a little nervous to talk about this subject, but I've gotten support through other people who think that I should talk about it, so I'm gonna make this video as concise as possible. I'm sorry if I yap, and thanks for clicking on this video. Social media is and always will be a very interesting place. Without social media and the internet, I would have never found out about Me Too Minded Jefferson, and I think that's neat. It can be a fun place to unwind, but it's also a double-edged sword into a lot of slippery pipelines and slopes that could end up causing a lot of harm. And before you guys decide to call me sensitive about what I'm gonna talk about, please just hear me out. Please just hear out the video before you leave a comment. I'm just gonna rip the band-aid off and say how I feel. There has been a really odd parallel with certain memes going on, and before I even try to describe it, I'm just gonna play a clip.
Clanker, rock bucket, stupid wire back, clanker.
And that is not the only video I've been seeing lately with these weird racist parallels when trying to refer to robots or AI.
Oh, AI slurs are inherently racist. Sounds like something a no-good, dirty AI generated, tan-skinned, copper-veined, bolt-crunching, battery-eating, oil-sipping scrap stack would say. Now you listen here, it's just not right what you're trying to do. You're trying to express our First Amendment right.
Honestly, I already know that I'm gonna get some comments that it's a joke, blah blah blah. It's not like they're using real racial slurs. I want you to know now that this is kind of where it starts. I'm not trying to be the fun police or anything, but I'm serious when I say that normalizing weird jokes, even if it has like no real slurs and just a weird racist undertone, makes people who actually feel that way come out in troves, whether they want to mask that that's how they actually feel or if they're going to be very blatant about how they feel. A good real-world example of this happening is when PewDiePie started catering to 4chan-like people and posting very red pill endorsey content, going as far as to having some guys on Fiverr write anti-Semitic remarks and dance around holding it on, I think, like cardboard or something. And honestly, if I remember correctly, I think in high school when all of that was going down, and I knew people who liked PewDiePie, and it did nothing but make them act a fool and say really weird, disgusting things. Let's get back on the topic of the whole AI slurs. Oftentimes, I find when people are trying to make these jokes, they are using a lot of rhetoric that minorities had to deal with just for wanting an opportunity, a job, things like that, and then replacing the actual slur with ones that they quote-unquote made up despite them being very eerily similar to real-life slurs. I myself am white and a Native American. My father's a Native American man, but I'm extremely white passing, so a lot of this racism doesn't really affect me, but I still think it's something important that people should be talking about. My partner, who is black, has also talked to me about how weird these jokes are. I find that there's not a lot of people talking about how these pipelines do make these people come out the woodworks. Once you start normalizing something like racism, sexism, whatever it may be, people who actually feel that way are going to be way more comfortable coming out and being a weirdo and a freak to other people. And don't get anything twisted, because I don't necessarily like AI. I dislike generative AI a fuck ton, and I am an artist. The people who don't care about AI and what it's doing are the people who aren't affected by it, let alone could never understand the reality of the people who are physically affected by it. There are people living next to these cooling centers and it smells like absolute shit. It smells horrible. Not only that, some of these people don't have clean water, and they're being told to be more conservative with their energy and water for these cooling centers in favor of these cooling centers made for AI and whatnot. That is insane. While you're busy texting your mid-ass fictional crush, there are people actually suffering. So I'd like you to, keep that in mind. You can hate AI, generative AI, and all of these things without making parallels to literal racism that decades and decades of people had to go through, and they're still technically going through it. And I've already, from what I've acknowledged, seen that it's a majority of white people who are making these jokes, and it's probably going to be white people who want to say, well, it's just a joke. You don't get to have that say because you're not somebody who's gone to school and come home crying because of the racism that you had to endure. especially because it used to be so bad and widely accepted at one point. If you are somebody who dislikes AI and has a very strong disdain towards it, that's completely fine, and you can make as many jokes you want about AI, but at the end of the day, when you are making parallels to actual racism and normalizing something like that, you are going to make people who actually feel that way comfortable enough to come out the woodworks and treat people like garbage. At the end of the day, obviously, I'm not telling you what to do, but I do implore you to please think deeper into the words you're saying and what kind of connotations they may have and what they were used for. I'm going to end this video here before I yap more than I need to. My name's Frostbite. Thank you for watching the video. If it is your birthday, happy birthday. You get 5 big booms. Boom, 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 boom. I don't know how many that was. I wasn't counting. Bye.